pretty clear that you're open to the idea of moving the pick. Have you had a lot of calls here in the last couple of days?
Yeah, there's been, especially since we got here, there's been a lot of discussions about, not just pick 7, but other picks that could have possibly be in play. It's no secret that we're trying to improve our team and bring players that have some kind of pedigree or experience into our lineup. And obviously we've talked about pick 7 as a possibility of being moved.
Can you say how many teams have kind of called you on that, or?
Multiple.
But if you keep the pick, what do you think you will get?
If we keep the pick, being around the scouts, it's a pretty good player. Now that player most likely won't play next year for us, but we're looking at someone that's we feel is going to be, whether it's a top 4, top defenseman, top 6 forward, is definitely, not immediately, but within the next 2 to 3 to 4 years will have that impact, depending how physically and mentally mature he is.
As someone who cut their teeth in scouting, do you know how those guys are feeling right now about you maybe trading that pick? And do you weigh that at all?
Yeah, of course, we weigh it as a group. We talk about it, but they also know that we want to win, and I think those guys have had the chance, in previous draft to select a lot of players, and when you're doing a rebuild, there'll come a time that you're going to have to move on certain picks or certain prospects to get more established players and more experience in your lineup.
Can you take us through your decision on Colin White?
Yeah, Colin, first of all, we want to thank him for what he did for us in Ottawa. He's I think our second longest player that is, as far as tenure. When it comes to that decision, we just felt at his age, how we could buy out the contract were two factors, or that was a big factor. Obviously, he's been hampered by injuries. Obviously, his performance probably wasn't at the level he wanted, and probably not at the level that we expected out of him. And we want to wish him the best of luck. And we have other players that we feel that can take that role, whether it's obviously Shane Pinto, Ridley Gregg, Marcus Delic. There was going to be a battle for, we always seen Colin as a center, and there was going to be that battle.
And I know you mentioned the injuries, but is there a particular point where you felt like maybe his development or progression stalled a little bit for you?
Well, I would have to tell you that would have to be at some point last year. We never internally talked about buying him out until probably last year, when we just felt that, whether it was the injuries or whatever factor contributed to it, we just felt that, we had people that were probably going to buy him on our depth chart, and we just felt it was the best decision to do.
If you can't use that number 7 pick to immediately upgrade your roster, how confident are you that you can still do that, whether it's free agency, trade, or some other method other than that number 7 pick?
Yeah, obviously, when you're team rebuilding, attracting free agents, like last year we tried to get free agents a certain position, and a lot of the people, once they hit 27, 28, 29, they want to win. We weren't in that position last year. Hopefully this year we can play meaningful games till the end of the year, and having, if we can attract free agents, we'd like to. We're going to make strong pitches on quite a few, but at the same time, people in their careers, I don't know many players that you want to get are thinking about a retirement tour in Ottawa. So for us, it's something that we're going to look at, and also we know that certain teams have cap issues, and if a trade doesn't happen this week, a trade could happen before training camp. So obviously we have assets. We know we have, our amateur scouts have done a great job building up our pool of prospects, and we might have to sacrifice one at one point in time. There are certain players that we will not move, but there are others that, not all our prospects are going to play. So we have to weigh which one we feel will play and which one can fill certain roles, and look at it. And then, so to answer your question, we feel we're comfortable that we can upgrade our team, but it doesn't have to be like right after this press conference. We just got to be patient a bit.
In principle, Pierre, would Claude Giroux be a little bit young for retirement tour category?
As you know and I know, I think he's still property of another team, and I won't comment on that.
Are you considering other buyouts?
The buyout period, if I'm off on the date, I think ends on July 12th. So there's other possibilities of buyouts.
Pierre, on sait que les Canadiens de Montréal sont potentiellement intéressés à s'avancer au repêchage. Tu as ouvertement émis la possibilité d'échanger ton 7e choix. À quel point la croyance populaire voulant qu'on soit peut-être un peu plus demandant vers les équipes de notre division lors d'un échange est vrai? Est-ce que tu vas en demander davantage aux Canadiens s'ils veulent ton 7e choix?
Non, j'ai toujours une bonne relation avec Kent et Jeff Gordon. Lorsque Jeff était à New York et Kent comme agent, on a fait plusieurs contrats ensemble. Beaucoup de respect pour le travail que ces deux messieurs font. Puis, si c'est un échange qui peut aider les deux équipes, c'est sûr qu'on va le considérer sérieusement.
Puis dans un autre ordre d'idée, ton équipe, ça fait 4 ou 5 ans justement qu'elle va chercher des jeunes prospects talentueux. On sent justement dans les commentaires des joueurs qu'on a hâte de passer au prochain niveau. Là. Où tu vois ton équipe la saison prochaine?
Pour moi, c'est qu'on veut jouer des matchs jusqu'à la fin de l'année qui veulent dire quelque chose. J'aimerais mieux commenter là-dessus une fois qu'on sait c'est quoi notre équipe au camp d'entraînement. Puis là, je l'ai dit auparavant, puis je vais continuer à le dire. Voyons quelle sorte d'addition qu'on peut faire. Puis de cette manière-là, on va pouvoir commenter où est-ce qu'on voit l'équipe l'année prochaine. Mais c'est fait connu que nos deux joueurs les plus importants, Thomas Chabot et Brady Tkachuk, les deux m'ont dit en fin d'année que c'était important qu'on prenne le prochain pas.
Tu as 3 gardiens de but pour la saison prochaine qui sont les congés LNH. Est-ce que tu penses régler ce problème-là au repêcheur ou jusqu'à plus tard?
J'ai parlé à DJ Zagberg. Les deux n'ont aucun problème à avoir 3 gardiens l'année prochaine.
Just on the top of the draft, how many of those prospects have you seen, Pierre?
Except for a few Russians, I've pretty much seen them all. Now, I haven't gone in details like the year we took Brady. I think I saw him 9 times.
Yeah.
The year that we took Shabby, saw him a lot. The year we took Stutzel, I went over to Germany and Raymond and those guys. I saw those guys quite a bit. This year, maybe not as much, but I've seen him quite a bit. Very familiar with him. But at the end of the day, it was the way with Brian. He let me make the decision. I'm going to let Trent make the decision about who we take, but we're in constant communication on that. And he throws stuff at me, I throw stuff at him. But at the end of the day, I always tell him if it's a great pick, you made the pick. If it's a bad pick, I made the pick.
Some teams
policy
have
with the Russians for this draft.
Yes. When it comes to Russian, we know it's tricky and complex situation over there. We know there's a war going on over there, and obviously our thoughts, our prayers were always with the Ukrainian people. That's first and foremost. When you watch whatever news channel you use to watch, you see the massacres, and you can't help but thinking 2022 what's going on. But all we're going to do is we're going to weigh every time a Russian comes close on our list to that pick. We're going to weigh it out. It's a bit complex, it's a bit tricky, and we're going to do what's best for the organization.
Est-ce que Zaitsev est en Russie? Puis si oui, est-ce que tu as des inquiétudes? Est-ce qu'il peut se revenir? Sais-tu s'il est en Russie? Non?
C'est des où?
J'ai aucune idée où est-ce qu'ils sont. Puis c'est pas à moi de décider. C'est dans la saison morte. C'est pas à moi de décider qu'est-ce qu'ils font, mais j'ai une bonne idée où est-ce qu'ils sont, mais c'est pas à moi de discuter ça.
Do you have an update at all on Matt, like just in terms of Matt Murray and where he's at in his recovery and
Yeah.
maybe how he's doing?
Matt is doing great. Obviously, Matt pushed hard at the end of the year to play for us. He was thinking about going to the World Championship. We decided as an organization, just get healthy for next year. I've been at the rink most days over the last month. He's been there regularly. He's working out. He has not been on the ice. He's going to do that next week. We expect a full recovery from Matt.
And is it fair to say, are you still looking for a top 4 defenseman, or do you feel like, because you got Hamonic at the deadline, and you have Artem Zubin and Sanderson's coming in, like, are you satisfied if that is your top 4, with obviously with Thomas Chabot, or do you feel like you still need to upgrade there?
We have a pretty good prospect by the name of Jake Sanderson coming in. With most of our prospects, I don't really want to gloat about them too much. Don't want to put too much pressure on them. But when it comes to Jake Sanderson, we've got something special. I think when we're a contending team, he's going to be a big part of it. So we feel we have him coming. If he's ready, we'll see how things go. He will be ready like right now he's skating. He got operated on a second time. He'll be ready for 100%, I believe, early to mid-August. So at development camp, he won't be doing everything, but he is skating right now. But at the same time, name me a team that doesn't want to add a top 4 defenseman out of 31 other teams, and except for maybe Tampa, Colorado. Most teams always are looking to add on the back end. It's that's why sometimes people don't understand why teams take defensemen in the first round. Yeah, you can never have too many.
And was that second procedure on Sanderson something that was anticipated, or did it just?
No, just sometimes fluky things happened, and it was just an accident. And you know what, we caught it, made sure it was done. He's a pro. Like, you watch him. What was beneficial about signing him, we thought he could play, and then the second injury happened, couldn't play. But when you watch him, how he does things, how he prepares, how he before a training session, how he's a pro, sometimes you can't buy that kind of experience. Sometimes you wish you could bring like top junior prospects and young kids just to see how a guy who hasn't played one NHL game prepares. And Jake it's impressive.
Sorry, one
Yeah,
more.
ask as many.
Is it make it easier?
You're preventing me from making trades, but
There we
that's
go.
all right.
Yeah, well, okay. Is it easier now that you're in person with your counterparts, like to possibly grease the tracks for a trade versus what you were doing in the last 2 drafts, where everything was kind of virtual and from a distance? Like, does it help to maybe be face to face with?
The only where I felt it's helped is in contract negotiation. I see what your follow-up question is going to be. Dealing with agents, I feel it's been more, but with GMs, we all know each other for the most part. Like, there's always a few new guys that come in every year or whatever, but after a few calls, you know how guys like to operate. Some guys like to text. Very few emails. You get a lot of calls. So in person, it's good, but where I found the biggest difference in dealing with agents.
Have you had a chance to sit down with some of the agents, for the restricted free agents you have this week?
Yeah, we've talked to all 4.
Okay.
We've talked to all 4. Obviously, with some organizations, you guys know that it's a longer process, and with others, you get to the point a bit quicker, but talks are progressing.
We'll do 2 or 3 more here in either language, folks.
T'as 2 nouveaux adjoints,
Oui.
Ryan Bonus et...
Oui, so 2 nouveaux adjoints, Trent Mann et Ryan Bonus. C'est une promotion que Trent méritait. Trent va déménager à Ottawa, va être encore en charge du recrutement amateur, du repêchage, mais je pense qu'il va peut-être être un peu moins impliqué lorsque ça vient des choix de 5e, 6e, 7e ronde. Je voulais qu'il déménage à Ottawa, avoir ses opinions sur un très bon homme de hockey. En Ryan Bonus, on a quelqu'un qui apporte un bon bagage d'expérience sur le côté du recrutement professionnel, mais c'est quelqu'un aussi que quand il était à Winnipeg, il aidait avec les contrats, puis il connaît bien ça, puis il va travailler aussi il va être aussi le gérant de Belleville. So I'll just repeat that. We're really happy of our 2 new additions as assistant general managers. Obviously for Trent Mann, it's a promotion. He's done a great job leading the amateur staff. Trent will be moving to Ottawa. He might not be, he's still going to be running the draft. He's going to be in charge of our development now. We feel development is really important to the success of our organization. And, moving to Ottawa, being around the team, I think is only going to be beneficial for us. But at the same time, he's still going to run the amateur scouting and still run the draft. And with Ryan Bonus, we bring someone that has great hockey baggage, great hockey knowledge. He's someone that, after the interview, I said it'd be tough to pass on this guy. He's smart. He speaks well. He's really regimented, which I like. I like things done a certain way. And, he's his own man. He's going to be GM in Belleville. He's going to be in Ottawa. The family's moving obviously to Ottawa. He's got history with Ottawa, which is a bonus, I feel like, And, we're bringing 2 quality hockey guys to add to our group.
Mr. Melnick's daughter has apparently Anthony LeBlanc talked about diversity and hiring. Was there any women that were considered for that post?
I've talked to 1, and we left it up in the air, and we're going to move it along further, probably after the draft. But no, there was one that we had a really good, productive talk. Timing wasn't exactly right at that point in time, but no, that's definitely something that we're looking at. Adding people. We want to add people for their talents and ability. If it happens to be someone with a diverse background, I think it's a welcome thing for us too.